You are now tuned in to the next best thing. Justin Henry, Real Thompson.
Yeah,
Let's
y'all
go.
can talk that talk, but this is just hoop talk. Updates on the news, analysis who's who gon' win, who gon' lose. Is it true, is it true? This is just hoop talk, this is just hoop talk. Ball.
Welcome to a Just Hoop Talk special edition. We are talking Sacramento Kings with Justin Henry, and I got Leo Beas here with me, Cowbell Kingdom. Leo, how you doing, man?
I'm excited, bro. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and just talk hoops, man. It's fun.
It is. And we're going to dive into, as a Kings Insider, we're going to dive into the Kings, man. We got a lot of Kings fans on our page. We've had really good traction with the Sac Kings video, so I want to talk a little bit about it because last time you and I talked in person on your page, Kings were going through, like, I think 6 out of 7 they had just won, and team was rocking, man. And now the Kings are kind of going through a different transition. What's been your overall thoughts just on the Kings this season, man? Because we've seen some highs, we've seen some lows.
Well, it's nothing like the Bucks, right, where the Bucks won today, and I think they won 5, lost 5, and then won 5 again today. So that's pretty drastic in terms of, like, going ups and downs.
Yeah.
But the Kings haven't gone through that in a long time. And if, say, hypothetically speaking, they were 6 of 7 or something like I think it was 7 of 8, and they lost 9 in a row. And now just say they win the next, I'm being optimistic. If they win the next 8 games, can you imagine how this fan base is going to be? It's just expecting, like, the worst, but then the best. They tease you, but then they don't.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the problem with
I
this
think
team.
that'd be
feel
wild,
like
man.
It's crazy because, the Kings, like last year, they got the 12th pick, and you're like, oh, here we go. Same old Kings. We're not going to get an impact player. And you get Halliburton the year or two before. You get number 2 pick, and you get Bagley. You're like, yes, it's going to work out finally. And then it doesn't. And it's like, with the King fan base, you never know. And for so many years, it's been like that. The year you get optimistic, nothing happens. And then the years you're like, oh, this is going to be the worst team. They give you that little bit that shows a little flash of hope. And I don't know, same result for years, man. Do you feel like this team is a playoff caliber team? Not just like when everything's healthy, but like, can this team legit get into the playoff picture at all? Or is this just a season?
No, everything has to go right for the team in terms of being healthy. They got 5.5 good players on this team, right? And that's De'Aaron Fox, Harrison Barnes, Buddy Hield, Rashawn Holmes, 4, and Halliburton 5, and then Bagley is the 0.5, and then now we can add Daquan Jeffries to it. So just say 6, right? A 0.5 and a 0.5 because Jeffries, even though I think Jeffries could be a 1 very soon, we still got to be careful. He hasn't shown enough, but my God, is he nice. Like, he has it all. Defensively, he's a monster, big hands, athletic, powerful. I like what I'm seeing. But I'm also kind of pessimistic and just kind of observant. So we'll see. Like my guards are up, like every time I do that, something happens.
Well, his athleticism is through the roof.
It's through the roofs.
Dude, we've caught him in Stockton a few times when he was playing G League last year on his 2-way, and man, he can jump through the roof.
But he's powerful though.
Yeah.
He's like Jalen Green is athletic, right? He's a 40-inch, but this guy is like 40-inch plus power, which is insane to me.
And he's not that tall, too. He's probably, 6'4"?
Like 6'4", 6'5", yeah.
Yeah, so –
But he's nice, though.
He's real nice. And I think the King, this is a good opportunity to see what you guys got, too. The Kings, man, got to see what's in the building. Outside of Daquan Jeffries, is there anybody else you're keeping an eye on that you hope gets a little more burn? Because there might be a point in the season where we're seeing some guys like him come and get more minutes.
No doubt. So he's a great example of having a true development system. Obviously, not having the Stockton Kings this year has really hurt that process. But they kind of last second sent their 2 rookies, which is Ramsey and Woodward. They're playing for the Austin Spurs, and then the other kid's playing for the Agua Caliente Clippers.
Yep.
So my God, I was talking to Woodward. Yeah, I was talking to Robert not too long ago, and obviously I told him stay ready. He's gonna come. He's very optimistic that his chance will come this year. He's playing out of his damn mind right now, which is really good for the Kings. He's showing strides, which I love. he's showing stuff that I didn't really see when I watched his tape at Mississippi State, right?
Yep.
And he's showing more like a fluid game. I can't wait to watch him play that stretch 4 in the pick and roll with Tyrese Halliburton or even De'Aaron Fox. Just a guy who's just also another powerful athlete. He's definitely
get that
a core to
opportunity
me
because there's a couple fours on the team ahead of him, man. I'm not sure he's going to get that opportunity in the next year or two at least.
Well, it just depends on what the Kings are. Are they going to be buyers or sellers? And I feel like my hunch says they're going to be sellers. So you may see a guy like Harrison Barnes get traded. You may see a guy like Buddy Hield get traded. And that's where the development and the tanking begins, right?
So talk about that because you've had no tanking thing. You have a no tanking thing with Cowbell Kingdom. We've been seeing this and the no tanking and the mentality aspect of it, but it's tough for fans who are like, hey, I just want a top pick and want an impact player, but then you see that you can get a quality player at 12 like you did with Halliburton. Talk a little bit about the no tanking and the mentality this Kings organization in general needs to have.
That's it. It's a mentality. It's something that the Kings organization haven't had in the past 15 years. And for the people who took this shit literal, like, I said you're a loser if you think like that. But I'm obviously referring to, like, from an organizational standpoint, like, you don't want to lose games. You want to surround your best player with so obviously some people got hurt, like got their feelings. Oh, well, you calling me a loser? I'm like, yeah, like I understand how to rebuild a team if you're a small market team. The reality is the Kings have done that. The Timberwolves have done that. There's plenty of examples where I'm like, name the teams the past 20 years who have won the NBA championship. The one team that comes to mind is the Warriors, who obviously drafted and got lucky on how things developed, right, with Steph Curry being injured. Yep. So a lot of things went well for them. And, maybe even the Spurs, but everybody else was aggressive. They gave up their entire futures.
Like Boston, the Sixers, the
Lakers,
process.
The Cavs, the Heat. All those guys said, F draft picks, F future stuff. We want to win now. And that's the best way to go about things. And I get it. Like, even like the Thunder, even like the Sixers, they tanked and they had a good team. Hey, guess what? They didn't win an NBA championship. So if your goal is to win a championship, this may not be the best possible way of going about things. So why not try to establish the right culture now? And you have a guy in De'Aaron Fox. And it's looking like Tyrese is also another guy. So why wouldn't you want to build upon this year, make that playoffs, and just start building from there? I don't care if you're the Blazers, bro. Like, the Blazers haven't won shit, but I'd rather be the Blazers than be the Kings any day of the week. Yeah, they're a second round out, but shit, any given year, injuries happen. And just look at 2 years ago. They were in the finals, in the Western Conference Finals.
That long without winning. Without winning, it's tough.
It's
tough
crazy,
on the fan base. It's tough as an organization. Tough on the players. And when you mentioned, like, the only thing is you mentioned De'Aaron Fox. And so he's a player, obviously, the Kings are planning to build around, sign him long-term. And I know there's been comparisons to what kind of player is he and what can he do. You pair him up with a guy like Tyrese Halliburton, who I'm really excited about as a player. Do you think that is the type of pairing that it would be, a CJ McCollum, Damian Lillard type thing, where we're looking at these guys 4 to 5 years just really playing well off of each other?
Yeah, that could work. But again, it's going to take some time, especially if they decide to sell Harrison, if they decide to sell Rashawn, if they decide to sell Buddy. Like, they're probably going to get assets in return. And that means draft picks, draft capital, which means what? Playing more young guys who make a lot of mistakes, who you have to wait and develop. And develop means lose. Let's just be honest. Develop means lose. So while you develop Bagley, who, again, isn't one of your best 5 players, the fact that he's been playing more minutes than Rashawn when he came back from injury is a problem. And you see it on social media. Like, you see Rashawn's brother tweet out, like, this is some – obviously, if you know the family, you know what he was alluding to. He was alluding to, why the hell is Rashawn not playing? And there's, again, a huge drastic drop-off when Rashawn isn't playing in the game, because he's the most comparable big who's competent enough to be really good defensively and still play his role offensively, which, again, is not making mistakes. Very, very few mistakes. That's what you do to win games. Now, again, if the agenda is to build Bagley up, then yeah, you're going to lose games. But just be very transparent about what the plan is. If the plan is to develop Bagley, so be it. Come out and say it. But we're going to lose games. It's that simple, bro.
I feel like it has to happen, though. I feel like when you invest in a number 2 pick, you can't just see it go to waste. So I get it. And like you said, if that's something that the fan base needs to hear or the team needs to hear, but that's also tough on the players, because you got guys, like you said, like Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, who are probably looking over their shoulder saying, am I getting traded? Am I staying? And do you really think that the Kings are going to be active? Because that's a lot of guys. You think about it. They're talking about buying out Hassan Whiteside, trading Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, Rashawn Holmes. There's something going on there. Like, that's a lot of pieces for a young rebuilding team, even with the minimal depth that the Kings have right now. That'd be a lot to try to have to get back player-wise or even just talent-wise, asset-wise.
So say hypothetically they're talking to the Celtics right now. The Celtics – they have that big TPE, which is a trade player exception. They can absorb over $20 million. So they can easily absorb Harrison Barnes. Now, what would the Kings want? Someone who comes to mind who I was talking to someone from the Celtics, Romeo Langford, nice prospect.
Yeah.
He's an okay player right now. He has the potential to be good down the future. Or Neesmith. This year's 16th? Somewhere. So That's the thing. You get either of those two guys with the first-round pick. What does that mean? What does that entail for the Kings and De'Aaron Fox? That means you just got worse this year. Yeah. Plain and simple. Yeah. So that's and that's what the tankers want. They want to get rid of the veterans who are good players, like, make no mistake. Like, Harrison Barnes will make a huge impact on the Celtics, and they know that. But the Celtics also got to think about, okay, are we Harrison Barnes away from winning the championship? Like, should we, take on this big contract? So those are questions that both teams have to answer. And that's what I mean when tanking. You're tanking if you're getting worse because you're getting assets. That's so logical to me. But if you want to put makeup on that and say, well, this is a team rebuilding or this is a smart – call it what it is. It's tanking because you're getting worse this year.
So I get that. I get that part of it. But you look at teams around the league, and it's almost like you have to go through the low in order to get to the high. All the teams had the Warriors had to go through a low. The Lakers went through a low. A lot of the teams that are successful now have been through periods where they did have to acquire a young top talent or a player in a deal. Obviously, the Kings aren't acquiring a superstar without giving up the world and trade value. But
which I would do, by the way.
I would do it too. De'Aaron Fox, to be honest, I thought De'Aaron Fox would have got moved for a bigger piece. That's just me.
No, well, just quick example. Just watch the Celtics. They could have had Kawhi Leonard, and all they had to do was give Jaylen Brown. In hindsight, they should have done it because they would have won an NBA championship that year. And that's the thing. It's the same example with Tyrese. Yes, they're going to be all-stars, but you're speeding up the process and you're attracting other guys to come play with you now. And for a team who has done this, like the Kings have traded away good players and gotten assets before, how much longer? Again, it's 15 years, man. Like, I get it. Like, yes, it's the right way to go about things. Get rid of guys, get young guys assets. No, man. Like, we're banking our futures again on this exact same thing with another GM. Pete D'Alessandro, Vlade Divac, they all failed at that. Oh, well, they half-assed it. Okay, but you're still betting on young players to come save your ass. And that's the thing. It's mysterious. You don't know what you're going to get in guys. So why not get the guy that you know is good now? Period. Like, I'm going after Lonzo Ball. I'm giving up a first-round pick. That's how I'm building to this team now. I'm adding bench pieces to this team now because – and I'm also not adding old guys. I mean, Lonzo Ball, he's a really good basketball player, and he could potentially get better. So let's not act like I'm getting the 35-year-old. I'm getting a 23-year-old who was a number 2 pick, and I'm willing to give up a first-round pick because I know what he is now. So
to your point, knowing what he is now, the Kings actually, on paper, there's a lot of talent with this team.
Yeah.
You're talking Buddy Hield. You're talking Harrison Barnes. Like, those are valuable pieces to another team.
Exactly.
Hassan Whiteside, Rashawn Holmes, those are guys that could get big minutes in playoff time off the bench for a contending team, for a championship team. I was going to ask you, Lonzo Ball obviously is one. What other players do you feel like are on the market right now? That'd be interesting. You hear, Blake Griffin sitting out, Kevin Love sitting out. Those don't seem like guys that would come to the Kings, obviously, and want to play and have an impact. But what other players out there are you either hearing whispers about or just kind of caught your eye that would be potential trade targets for the Kings?
Even small, like if the Kings magically become buyers, even guys like a Mason Plumlee. Like, are you telling me that a guy like that who's been solid his whole life, backing up Rashawn Holmes, now there isn't that huge of a drastic drop-off. He fits Luke's scheme, which is switching, which, again, makes no effing sense because this team doesn't have the IQ or the athletes to play that type of scheme. Again, why did you sign Hassan Whiteside, who is notoriously known to be a shot blocker inside the paint who likes to play in drop coverage? The Lakers playing drop coverage, the Bucks playing drop coverage. And, again, that's on who? That's on your GM who signed the guy who doesn't fit the scheme of this team. So I get it right now. This is the whole honeymoon stages. We love this guy. He drafted Tyrese. To me, Tyrese fell to him. I don't think I think he fell to him, right? But he did draft Woodward.
Yep.
He did draft Ramsey. So I'll give him credit for that.
Yeah.
But again, they're still unknowns. You're excited about them, but they're still unknowns until they prove it at the NBA level. But that's my thing. Like, just go out and just start winning games, man. Like, you're not that far away. This team, I think, is 13-12 with their starters, which is Bagley, Holmes, Harrison, Buddy, and Fox. They're 13. So they're a fringe 500 team. But there's no room for mistakes, right? Like, if one guy's out, they're screwed, which is why you go out and you solidify that bench and you give yourself the best shot. And for the tankers to say, well, you just want to make the playoffs and just give up your future, I'm like, so making the playoffs is a bad thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, so making the playoffs is a bad thing now?
This team is – it's funny because at the beginning of the season, like you said, we're talking about it. This team's healthy. They're pushing for a playoff spot, if not making a playoff spot. And they are injury away. Harrison Barnes obviously was hurt a little bit. De'Aaron Fox hurt a little bit. Rashawn was hurt. Tyrese Halliburton's hurt right now. But you know what this team is capable of during the win streak. Now, the All-Star break is here, and there's a lot of teams that are going to be obviously making moves and probably reevaluating talent pieces. In place right now, your opinion, is this a playoff team or no?
If they're all healthy?
We go to the All-Star break. Everybody's getting healthy now. Barnes is back. Halliburton will probably be back after the break, I'm assuming. Are they a playoff team?
They're not a top 8 team. I think they're a top 10 team, and that's all you need to make it to the play-in game this year. So, I mean, that's just my objective opinion. Like,
I still think they're out, man. I still think it's a tough – the West is tough, man, and there's a lot of tough teams in there.
But when you compare all these teams, right, like when you – like there's 7 teams who are definitively better. Like, no questions about it. But from 8 to, like, 13, you can make an argument for any of these teams, bro. Like, you can. Like, on any given night, these teams will beat each other. Like, there isn't, like, this I'm so much better or I'm better than you. Like, no, like, one night you'll beat me, and then the next night I'll beat you. So that's where you got to make a move to solidify yourself.
I look at the dysfunction. They're probably one of the more dysfunctional teams and franchises. And when you have that up against some of the other, even the teams that are sitting there on the fringe, I take them over it because just the dysfunction. The coach, obviously, there's some type of coaching issue going on there. Who knows if Luke, obviously the rumors are swirling about if he's going to last throughout the whole year or not, or even through the end of this week. But then you also got the players, the players, like there's a lot of buyout talks and trade talks, and sometimes that hampers a franchise. So I don't know, man. The West is –
So when I look at Memphis, New Orleans, Oklahoma City, Houston, Minnesota, so that's from 10 to 15.
Yeah.
And my objective opinion, I don't think any of those teams are better than the Kings. Like, I don't. Yeah. But I also think if I'm Memphis, I'm saying the exact same thing. If I'm Oklahoma, I'm saying that's my point. Like, there isn't this drastic drop-off where I'm looking at these teams and I'm like, okay, there's no way that if I'm one bench piece away from being better than all these teams. So that's how I'm looking at this thing. So even Golden State, who right now to me is fool's gold, they're going to start losing games.
No, they're not fool. Golden State's – you think Golden State's fool's gold?
Bro, they'll probably end up like at 9.
No way.
Don't make it, but Dallas will be there. Like if Dallas gets healthy, they'll surpass. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Golden State is the one team in the top 7 right now where I firmly don't believe in them because they literally have one good player who is like elite.
You don't think Draymond's a good player?
He's a good player, bro, but he just has too many breakdowns without Klay Thompson there. Like, they're not deep enough to sustain like the dumb shit that he does.
I don't know.
Without
Like
having,
the late technical fouls that he had the other day. That's
Stupid.
what you get with him. But he's a Hall of Fame player. He's a Hall of Fame player still to this day. And he moves. You've seen, because when they came out the gates, they were struggling. The minute he came back healthy, this team got right. I think Draymond Green is one of the most underrated players the league's ever
for
had.
sure. But I just don't think like Wiggins, Oubre. It's just there's just a bunch of
For more
inconsistent players on
NBA,
this
college,
team, man. Like,
hoops
that's
coverage,
why I
be
just
sure to
don't
subscribe to
see
Just Hoop Talk
them sustaining
podcast
the
on
top.
YouTube
And again, you don't
and all
have to be in
streaming
the top 8
platforms.
because from 7 to 10, it's a playing game.
Right.
And that's after Steph Curry, if you just look at player for player, who would you rather have?
Yeah.
Now, honestly, bro, I think Harrison Barnes would be their second best player.
Hell nah. Draymond, easy. Draymond is better than Harrison Barnes.
Nah. No way, bro.
Of course he is, man. So on what side, like Harrison
Not
Barnes
right
is
now.
a good player.
No way.
I think he can't shoot. So Draymond can't lead the team by himself. But as a complimentary player, he's way better number 2 than Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes isn't.
Well, I mean, he's not a number 2, period. I mean, Green isn't a number 2, period.
Of course he is. But Harrison Barnes isn't even the second best player on the Kings right now. Like, straight up. He's not.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is.
So I definitely got Fox over him. Definitely got Halliburton over him.
Nah.
Easily.
No.
Which one of those two is not over him?
I mean, yeah, it's Fox and then there's HB.
Nah, Halliburton's a better player already. And this is me obviously talking of Halliburton.
Yeah.
I think his game right now he is the second best player on that team and probably will be the top player on that team by next season. With his efficiency, the way he's able to lead that team, even though he's coming off the bench, he brings a different type of energy to that team, and that's why you see him finishing those games. He's hitting the shots. HB don't always hit those shots.
I'm not disagreeing with him being better next year, but today, right now, there's no way. HB's been hurt, bro, and that's why he struggled those past 5 games. But before those past 5 games, this guy was 18, 8, 7 efficient.
Yeah.
I mean, 85%. It's just this year's HB is better than Draymond. I don't know. Better than a lot of players, bro. This year, again, HB he's so slept on, man. I mean,
he's playing at a really high level this year. Actually, I play fantasy. I got him on my fantasy team, so I know he's been playing on it at a pretty high level.
It just clicked for him. It just took him 9 years for him to live up to this number 7 pick.
Yeah. And
Obviously, Draymond is a Hall of Famer. Career-wise, yes. But this year, bro, I guarantee, if we make a side bet, if we would have asked Steve Kerr, who would he rather have this year, I guarantee he'd go Harrison Barnes.
I just think for that team, Draymond, because of what he does offensively, pushing the pace and the way he just moves the ball, it fits that team better. And I think obviously he's a better player. I think Draymond's a better player overall. I don't know, man. We can go back and forth all day on it. Obviously,
I mean, it's not lopsided either. Obviously,
I think it is, though. I think Draymond is I think Draymond is a much better player than Harrison Barnes.
I mean, he's nowhere near offensively as good, though. That has to count for something.
Yeah, no, that's true.
I mean, that has to count for something. Draymond is not looking to score ever, and that's a problem. And now he's getting exposed to that because he doesn't, again, and that's why I disagree with you. He's not a number 2. He'll never be a 2 because he's so exposed that when he doesn't have Klay Thompson, a true number 2, now he's supposed to be number 2. And they're 19-15, bro, but I guarantee you, man, they're not going to stay there. I promise you that.
They'll be in the playoffs. They'll be a mid-seed. They'll be a mid-seed. Is there any other team you like in the West right now? Obviously, we talk, we can talk Kings, Warriors, Bay Area, NorCal stuff all day. Who else you like in the West?
The Jazz, bro.
I don't
Jazz
know
are
what to
really
think about
good,
them, man.
The
They're balling.
the Jazz are really good. Last year, I think we mentioned this
We talked about it
on my show. It was Bojan Bogdanovic, who didn't play, who was a 20-point scorer. He was, their second best guy, honestly, last year. He didn't play. Mike Conley wasn't the same Mike Conley. Mike Conley's an all-star this year. Yeah. And you can make an argument that he's been their best player when he's been healthy. So that tells you a lot. So having him back and having a rejuvenated Mike Conley, that to me is dangerous, man. And
He's
again, they
well.
play as a team, bro, and they're well coached under Kirk Snyder. They're a team to be reckoned with, man.
Yeah, they're playing better, him and Joe Ingles too, because last year there was a little bit of inconsistency when it came to him and Joe Ingles playing together. I think everybody was trying to fill out their roles. And
an adjustment period.
Yeah, they had just added Bogdanovich to the team too. You had Royce O'Neal was a younger player coming in trying to step into a role. And Donovan Mitchell was like just ascending to like that leadership position. So you're seeing a lot of that kind of come to fruition, because you did mention it on our show last year. You said you thought if the season hadn't stopped, that the Jazz would have been contending for the championship.
Yeah.
And they're proving that this year. I've always kind of slept on the Jazz. I think that they're an okay team, but a paper regular season team. So we're going to find out a lot about the Jazz this year. You mentioned Conley as an all-star. I want to tap into one more thing, though. De'Aaron Fox did not make the all-star team. Do you think he should have been on there?
No. Hell no.
Nah.
No way. I mean,
a lot of fans did.
Nah, I think a lot of fans ended up saying, you know what, like he had his great stretch, but just who do you take him out for?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Like who? Unless you expand your roster to 15, which is what they should do, because there's a lot of guys in the East. Again, there's so many good players, bro. It's just it's crazy. Like I can make an argument for Shea, who didn't make it. I can make an argument for Ingram, who for DeMar DeRozan, for Mike Conley, for all these guys. Like, if winning is a thing, why the hell wasn't Mike Conley on there? Why wasn't Devin Booker on there from the jump? Like, this needs to expand to 15 players, man, because nowadays there's so many good players. And Chris Paul deserved to be over Devin Booker, honestly, because he made the big difference.
He's the difference in that team.
Right.
Even like Sabonis in the East, man. That's an all-star player.
Chris Middleton.
Middleton, man.
Middleton was a lock to me. He's a 50-40 He's a 50-40-90 guy.
Man, off the all-star team.
Off the all-star team. 50-40-90 guy.
The game has changed,
and the Bucks are nothing without – like, the Bucks are nothing without Chris Middleton.
But it's also the game, too. And because the game is a higher scoring game, so now the numbers, there's more volume for numbers. So you're getting more 25-point guys, more 27-point guys. We saw Bradley Beal not make the all-star team last year, and he was averaging 30. Like, it's crazy the amount of talent that's there, but it's also some of it is inflated numbers. Well, you got to start looking at impact and who the player actually is, too. Because when you have a guy like, with De'Aaron Fox, was he putting up 22, 5, and 7 or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Like, those are good numbers, but like you said, it hasn't impacted the winning side. And so the impact, I think, like, that's why Chris Paul is there. That's why he got it over Devin Booker. And I know the guys were mad about Devin Booker, but to me, he was the all-star. Chris Paul was the all-star.
For sure. Like, without question. And that's the funny part. Without him, just take him out of the equation. This Suns team's not a playoff team, bro.
Nope. They're a bottom 3 team.
I mean, that's just a fact. Like, and that's why – again, that's why my mentality on no tanking, they are the best example, the most recent example. They said, F these picks and F these young players. We're trying to win now.
Yeah.
And we have to be aggressive and take risks to know, like, they know what you get in Chris Paul. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I would give up Halliburton for Bradley Beal because you're going to get better now. Like, you're going to get better now.
Halliburton for Bradley Beal.
Oh, in the heartbeat. Are you serious?
Man, I think I'd do it too.
A 27-year-old.
I'd do it too.
27-year-old 35-point scorer?
Yeah, and I think the Wizards would have a decision to make, but for the Kings, that's a win.
For them, it's a win. Like, the Wizards get like a future all-star point guard. Once Westbrook, I don't know what the hell they're going to do with Westbrook. But, again, like, it makes sense because he's going to leave them if they don't trade him.
Yeah. But, I mean, to be honest, the Wizards are probably closer to a playoff spot than the Kings are.
Sure. I mean, all you got to do is finish in the top 10.
They could play for now a lot sooner than the Kings could because the Wizards are, probably 2 games out of a playoff spot, and the East is so weak. The West, I mean, I don't know. I just think that I like Halliburton. I think that they wouldn't.
I mean, the Kings are 3 games away from the top 10 too, so, I mean, that's not saying much.
Yeah.
But they're also, like, 2 games away from being, like, top 5 worse. And that's what I'm saying. Like, everybody has a chance, bro. Man. And that's what you got to make a move, though. They're literally 3 games out from that 10 spot.
God, man.
And they're playing like shit.
I don't see it, man. I want to. I think that without that win
Right
streak,
now, no. Right now, no. But they have to make a move, though.
they got to make a move. So you think the Kings will make a move to improve the team or get the team worse? You think that's happening?
I think they're sellers, and they're gonna get worse.
Yeah, blowing it all up, man.
Which is sad.
The life of a Kings fan.
The life of a
man.
Kings fan, because people say, "Oh, De'Aaron Fox, he's young in age." Yeah, but this would be the 4th straight year where he doesn't even sniff the playoffs. While watching Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, all of his class colleagues make it, right? And he's thinking like, I don't want to be here. And that's the part
you think the Kings can win with De'Aaron Fox as the main guy?
Yeah, they can, but you just got to surround them with good players.
Man, I don't know, man. I don't know about De'Aaron Fox as the guy. I think as the number 2 guy, you get him with a stud wing or a stud big.
Is Bradley Beal a 2 or a 1 to you?
A 2. Bradley Beal's a strong 2. He's like Devin Booker to me, a strong 2.
Okay, so if you think Fox is a 2, Beal's a 2, 2 2s in the West, I think that's like a top 6 team.
I think so too. I think you're looking at a little bit lesser version of what the Blazers could be. With Beal and Fox, I think you're looking at a slightly less version of the Trailblazers. So you put them at that 5 to 8. I think they're stuck in there, and they could probably upset a top 4 team if they got hot. But
they may be, you're right, like less than them, but with the upside to be better because these guys are way younger.
Yeah, I would say that. But they're in their prime right now, so you can't.
Right.
Lillard and CJ in their prime. If you could pair them together long term, Fox and Beal, that'd be fun.
Crazy.
That'd be fun to watch.
Yeah, that's fun to watch. It's fun to watch, bro.
We're about to talk more trade scenarios here soon, man. I love it. So we'll talk real. Let's talk next time you're on. Let's talk like hoop, not just King. Let's talk everything, man. No
doubt, bro. I'm down. Just real quick on the Lakers. And are you a Laker fan?
Hell yeah, I'm a Laker fan. That's
okay, so without AD, like say you didn't have it. Like say he's out for the rest of the year, and they stay put. What is this team, in your objective opinion?
This team is exactly what they were 2 years ago.
Thank you.
2 years ago when LeBron didn't have anybody.
And that's what scares me about this damn team.
It is. It's a top 5 team. It's a top 5 team in the West that can't beat anybody without AD. That's who they are. And they're surrounded. And I said this on this podcast. I said that the Lakers were going to be a little bit worse when they lost Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee. They lost some of that size that's needed. And I think replacing them with the Montrezl Harrell, you lose Rondo and replace him with the Dennis Schroeder. It's like they tried to emulate last year without paying the guys that got them there, and it's going to cost them. This team isn't as good, even with AD now. I don't think this Laker team is as good as they were last year. And there's going to be some issues that we see in the playoffs, I think, when it comes to size. Because when you're throwing out old-ass Marc Gasol out there.
He's garbage.
He's terrible. I don't know why they didn't just pay Dwight Howard. Like, why don't you just sign the guy? He didn't even want that much money. I think Philly paid under $5 million for him. Why don't you get Dwight Howard to bring him back when he had such a big impact?
Whiteside could, actually help you guys
Whiteside
in a weird way.
Be a good fit. I think because he would be limited to his little 18 to 20-minute stretches.
That's it.
Come in there, block some shots, get off the court, and have an impact. Give some rest. I think that move has to be done. If he gets bought out, the Lakers got to pick up the phone and make that call. No Blake Griffin, no K-Love, no Drummond. Go get Whiteside for the cheap and just let him do his thing, man.
If Drummond gets bought out, then you call Drummond.
Drummond is the opposite of what you want to see for this Laker team, who's supposed to be disciplined, make smart moves. Drummond is careless with the ball. He takes terrible shots. I think he's a good fit. He's a good player on a bad team, not a good player on a good team.
Yeah, but if he's like a number 4 or 5, I mean, he's not going to be a bad player.
He would be trying to play as the number 2 or 3.
No, LeBron would set his ass straight. He'd be like, "Hey, homie, you ain't that guy. Just play your role." It's all about role optimization, though, right? Like if he buys into the culture, which I think you have a strong culture there. I mean, you just won a championship. I mean, how can you not, listen and respect your other guys?
I'll drop you this. They got JaVale McGee under control somehow. If they can get Drummond under control somehow, right, I think then that would be a whole different thing.
Exactly.
As is right now, I'm not touching Drummond, man. As a Laker fan, I'm not touching him. So who
Okay.
knows, man? Who knows? We'll see how it goes, man. Let's touch base again before playoffs.
All right, brother. Appreciate you as always,
Yes,
man.
sir. Leo Beas, Cowbell Kingdom. Make sure you subscribe to his channel, like and subscribe to our channel, Just Hoop Talk. Another edition in the books. We are out.